My name is John Garofalo. If I have not had the pleasure of meeting you, we welcome you to today's webinar, where we're going to discuss Akron Community Foundation's new application process, which we are excited to unveil today. First off, on behalf of our board and staff and everyone involved with the foundation, we want to thank you for being our partner here in the community by providing valuable programs and services to our community. And I'm sure, just like you all, it's been an extremely busy year for us here at the Community Foundation. We just concluded our fiscal year at the end of March. April 1st was our beginning of our new fiscal year. And I can tell you that we have been busier than ever. Especially excited to announce the unveiling of our new strategic plan that I'll talk about just in a little bit. But we ended last year with a little over $20 million in donations from the very generous community that we live in. And our part of giving the money back into the community, happy to announce that about $13.2 million was reinvested back in the community by all of our fund holders here at the foundation, which we're very, very, very proud of. We began this journey to be a more equitable funder about 3 years ago, even before COVID, even before the George Floyd incident. We as a foundation dedicated our time and our staff to really look at what we need to do internally and externally to be a more equitable funder. And part of today is the result of all that hard work that the team, the board, the staff has put into our work here. So we're really excited to announce that to you all today. I mentioned briefly our strategic plan. We are very excited as we enter the next 5 years of the foundation's strategic plan. Happy to announce that On the Table will be coming back in some capacity this fall. Really excited about that. We're working on the final stage of that. It might look a little different than what we've done in the past, but it's going to have an overall feel of really getting to know more about people in our community. And stay tuned for more information about that. We are in the midst of a community-wide needs assessment with our partners at the Center for Community Solutions up in Cleveland. So we're excited about that. We're going to be going out into the community and doing listening tours of our nonprofit partners to have the opportunity for you to kind of tell us what it's like out there so that we have a better angle of how we make our grant decisions here in the community. And we're going to continue the growth of our very popular nonprofit training programs that have been so valuable to each and every one of you who have participated in that. And again, we will continue our partnership with our partner at the Akron Public Schools, being part of the middle school transformation process. We have 54 nonprofits that have currently signed up to be partners with APS and ACF to provide valuable experiences for our middle school students. And if you're not signed up, we ask you to please reach out to one of us or Darlene Schuler here at the foundation to be part of that middle school transformation process. So with that, I'm going to turn over to my colleague, Dr. Cristina González Alcalá, who is going to walk you through the process of what we did to come up with this new application and to answer any questions that you may have in this process. So Cristina, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, John, and thank you everyone for joining us this morning. Before I begin, I have to give a special shout out to my entire team, Brian and Kim and Chris, as well as John, who have been very instrumental in us being able to achieve this new update to our application. Equally, a shout out to my student, Wetley Charles. He was a student of public administration of mine in the master's program, and he took it upon himself to do an independent study that would help us remodel this application. It was part of a full effort that we did here for a racial equity impact assessment. We invited a little over 20 organizations to join us. That was 3 focus groups. About 3/4 of them, all of you nonprofit leaders, 3/4 of them were Black leaders in the nonprofit sector. And we received the input in its majority from them. We also, in those focus groups, sought for feedback in terms of our grant making process overall, as well as the application itself, like little by little. And so the result of that feedback is shown here in the new application that I will be walking you through. And equally, we were able to send some of these additional changes to our committee members who also reviewed them. We also had a special subsection of our subcommittee, right, that it joined, and it was predominantly our board members that identify either as Black or Hispanic, as well as our veteran board members who have been through the application process for quite a few years now. They also provided their input in terms of what the committee is looking for and how they are better able to make this funding decisions. So this is the culmination of that work. I am excited to show it to you. It will likely be a little bit long and it'll be a little bit cumbersome, and there will be a few steps that we will have to walk ourselves through, but I'm here to walk you through those steps. And as you are looking at me walking through that application, feel free to put it in either the chat or the Q&A, whatever questions might come up or whatever comments you might have. I am technically still taking suggestions just for one day. We will make sure that we have this up and ready to go for you guys by tomorrow. I know we will be one day later than we usually start our civic affairs cycle. So I'm going to get right into it. And like I said, send some notes on there that you are there, that you are seeing us, and that you're excited as well. I love me some words of affirmation. So feel free to high five me virtually while I'm going through this. Let me go into the application now, and let's go into it. All right, so I am logged in as an applicant. This is normally what you would see when you click on one of our processes. In this case, is our Community Fund Civic Affairs. A few buttons of note that I would like to immediately bring your attention to is this Copy Guide Style Profile and this Collaborate button. If you hadn't paid attention to those exist up here on the top corner, and those will be handy a little bit later, okay? And the easiest thing to do is also to just start by clicking those and things will start populating. However, right now I'm gonna walk you step by step so that you are aware of everything that is in here. So as you can see, you always get your applicant information gets pre-populated up here, and then you begin into the application. You can always also print this. I know a lot of times, sometimes as I've had questions, if you can see all of the questions ahead of time, and yes, you sure can. Just by clicking on this button, you will get the PDF file that has all the questions on there. Now you will note in this new format, we are making it so that it's like a little bit more streamlined, and we're able to divide up the application depending on who you are and what kind of request you are coming in for. So when you click on that question list button, you will end up seeing the entire list of questions, at which point it might not apply to you, some of them, which is why it's always better to just kind of go through the application first. It saves us draft. You actually have to hit the submit button to submit. So you're fine if you're just going through it and just start filling it out as a draft mode. So the first thing you'll notice here that is new is this applicant type. We want to make sure that we give those of you who are returning applicants a little less questions, as we already know you for the most part, right? And so there are a couple less questions that you'll have to answer this time around. And for new applicants, we need to get to know you better, right? So you'll have additional questions that you'll have to answer for us the first time around. So for right now, I'm going to start with the first time applicant. You also see here that we ask ahead of time whether or not you're going to be using a fiscal sponsor. It's also important just because you'll have to answer additional questions if you're using a fiscal sponsor. And if you're not, then you won't have to see those questions or mess with them. So every time you come in here, yes, you'll probably have to click one of these two buttons, but it'll make life easier down the road. So let me start also just for the sake of showing you things with the no. Request type here is the type of request that you're bringing to us. Hey, good morning there, Jay. Thank you so much for the for the words of affirmation there. The type of request here is just letting us know what type of proposal you're bringing to us. Generally, we prefer the program project request, right? However, we obviously welcome all the requests that address our community's most pressing needs. So whether that's operating or other, at which point, feel free to define that as other. You will be able to select here which type of request you're bringing to us. So for right now, let's start with program project, sorry. So here now you go into your proposal information. We want to know how much money you're requesting. We are aware that a lot of times first-time applicants did not know the range of our grant, amounts as well as our average. So for each of our cycle applications, you will now see our average grant. In this case, for civic affairs, is about 10,000. I've also provided you with a link to our webpage where you can actually see a history of all of our grants that we have provided through the civic affairs cycle. That allows you to check out a little bit more of that range in some of the grants that we've given and in what amount, so that you get an idea of what more or less we can give out and what more or less you could probably ask for. So you just enter your amount requested right here. You go on to the proposal name. This is this proposal name we usually use for our press releases, and it also goes into our financial database that tells us basically what the money that we awarded was for. So we like for these to start with either to support X, Y, or Z, or for X, Y, or Z. So usually to support Summit County outreach or for general operating purposes, right? That's what that is here for, which is short and sweet. The proposal description here now, this is where you are actually going to tell us what it is that you're going to do with those requested funds. This narrative, we might show it to other potential funders, and what we mean is sometimes there's the ability to access through our community, through our co-investment program, your applications. And so they see that paragraph that tells them what you're requesting funds for. And so that allows for some other funders, such as our donor advised fund holders, to see what you are proposing to do with funding. We have increased that character limit to 350. I know that was a very talked about point, right? The fact that our character limits were a little bit constricting. So we have allowed some additional space for you, not a lot more, because again, we don't need theses up here or essays. You know, you leave those for you know, your storytelling later down the road. Here we need it for you to be just short and sweet. Again, other people are reading this, and what are you going to say to catch their attention within like the first minute or two of their attention, right? Now we're going to number of people served. You've seen this one before. We just need to know how many people you're estimating that you'll be serving. And when you think about this number, think about unduplicated numbers. So each individual, without counting them either coming to an event or attending your program more than once, you know, make sure that you're only using that one time that you've seen them as counting one person, even if they come multiple times to you or the program. Description of target population to be served. This one, I've provided examples of what those characteristics are. I've given you some ideas of age, gender and sexual identity, ethnic and racial groups, social and economic status. We really are looking to learn who it is that you're going to be reaching, right? And who is going to be benefiting from your program. With an eye to, of course, racial equity. That's obviously some of the lens that we've used to approach, that we're using to approach this grant making process as we continue to develop our diversity, equity, inclusion plan. This is somewhere where we want your help to let us know who we're reaching and how we're reaching them. So check this candid article out for who it is that those groups are and what characteristics you may use to describe the population that you're serving. Your key partners and how you collaborate with them, that one you've seen before. We just want to know who it is that you're involved with and how are you involving yourselves with. In this proposal, how are those relationships playing out? And then team, if anything comes up that you see on the chat, please let me know so that I can stop and pause there for a second as well.
Christina, if I could add one thing in reference to that collaboration tab, our board really looks at that seriously. So anytime you can collaborate with a partner here in the community, please make sure you put that down. Again, our board looks upon that as a favorable thing. If you have any questions about that, please reach out to any of us.
Thank you, John. And so here you'll see the proposal information now, and you'll see this dash program project. This is because we selected all the way up here, remember, program project. So that means that you're going to be answering information as it pertains to a program and project proposal. So what we need to know first is, when are you going to start the program? And we're giving you that date for you to enter and let us know. And then also for you to mind that, you know, generally we make the distribution 6 to 8 weeks after the proposal due date, which is July 1st. Tell us in your proposal information what makes this program or project unique and what are its strengths. Part of what we've also learned through this racial equity impact assessment is the ability to allow you to be a little bit more descriptive and less robotic in terms of how you explain what it is that you're doing. So a lot of the questions now are rephrased to allow some more of that narrative, right? And allow you to be a little bit more anecdotal while also minding that there's also ways for you to provide evidence that what you do works, and also for us to bring some accountability in terms of what you say you were supposed to do, you actually do it, right? So here, you're just gonna tell us what it is that makes your program unique. What are the strengths? So basically, why would we need to fund you in here, right? So think about answering, why is your program needed? For community need, and you'll see that additional narrative. So to help you like kickstart your thinking on how to address each of the questions here as well. We'll jump onto community need. Again, what are the community needs or challenges that your proposal is addressing and why, right? So share what needs you identified and how are you driving action to address those needs, right? And so share with us whether how you're going to be doing that and why we need to address these needs or challenges in our community. How do you know this need or challenge exists, right? So you just woke up one day and you're like, you know what, I'm going to do this. Well, tell me more, right? Tell me more about what it is that you observed and what it is that when you woke up, you realized, oh, that aha moment, right? Just basically that aha moment, either for you, for your organization. Again, your organization, there's a lot of you who have been operating for multiple years. So that might change in terms of what you're actually looking to address with that specific proposal at this moment in time. So tell us what it is. How do you know this need or challenge exists? Once you saw the challenge or the need, tell me what it was that let you know that this was a need or a challenge, right? How do we know that what you saw is what we need to pay attention to and what we need to address? So just kind of share either your experiences. Again, we're opening it up for you to be a little bit more anecdotal, for you to share a little bit more of that experience, not so much the, quantitative statistics that many of you know that I absolutely love. So I still added there. I mean, if you still have stats, if there's still articles that you've seen out there that you've read, there's, things in the news that you've seen, social media, be mindful on the social media, of course, share with us what it is that let you know that that community is there and how you found out that there was that need. Then how are you addressing inclusion, belonging, diversity, and equity in your work? At Akron Community Foundation, we're committed to continue to foster a more inclusive, just, and equitable community. You can click on the link right here to read our DEI work plan. So what we do here and what we need is, we seek to support and advance efforts that overcome racism and prejudice in our community. And you get to be a partner in that work. So tell us here, how are you helping us in this work, and how might we help you in this work as well in the community? Because it's something that we both together are trying to, work on, of course. 800 character limit
Cristina,
there. Go ahead.
Again, if I could add, that DE&I work plan is something that we take very seriously. Here at the foundation, our staff, our board, it's not a document that we created to put up on a shelf and not do anything with. So we are still learning in the process, and we will continue to grow in this process. But again, it's something that we take very seriously. And I thank Cristina for all the time and effort she has put into creating that work plan, not only for our department of community investment, but also for our entire organization. So thank you, Cristina, for that.
Of course. Thank you, John. All right. And so now we go to defining success. And so this one used to be the more stuffy, tell us about your goals, objectives, and outcomes. And, that's cumbersome. That gets a little bit, even for students of statistics, that ends up getting a little too cumbersome and too complicated. So again, we're just trying to simplify things and make sure that we're just getting to the essence of what your programs or organizations do. So defining success. What does success look like for you? Start by thinking, we will be successful then. Honestly, ideally, this could just be one sentence, like we will know we will be successful when canopy cover in Summit County is 35% by 2025. And I don't see Beth Bill maybe here, but she could correct me or not. I did a little bit of research to do that. But it could be just one sentence, right? I mean, that's just how simply you define success. Tell me what it looks like. Tell me what you pie in the sky would like to see you achieve through your program or through your organization's work. Of course, I've given you 500 characters now for you to tell me more about how success looks like, but you know, we just did it in one sentence. You can too. How do you achieve success? So once you envision what success looks like, how do you achieve that success? And then this is where you get into the process, into the activities, the strategies. What is it that you're going to be doing in order for you to achieve that version of success, right? And again, you are defining this. It's not up for us to define what success looks like for you. You're all very unique organizations. Some of you are doing similar work. Some of you are doing completely different work. It is up to you to define that success. And it's up to you then to show us how to keep you accountable through how you achieve that success, right? So again, I gave you an example. You plant 100 trees in neighborhoods where the tree canopy cover area is below 20%. So that is a little bit, that is something more measurable, right? It's something that you expect to actually achieve and do, something that is more tangible. And then you tell us, how will this effort impact the community, right? So what are the changes that you can anticipate seeing in the community as a result of the work of this proposal? So in this case, in my example, right, the rate of adults and children with asthma in Summit County will decrease. That's just one of the things that will potentially happen if we increase canopy cover, right? So it's up to you again to tell us what are the things that you are expected to see change in the community because of the work that you're doing. And you know, we added 500 characters here. You see in the what does success look like for you? We added 800 characters for how do you achieve success, and 500 characters with how will this community be impacted. And I just show you how to do it in 250 or less. Just saying, but you know, you practice and you'll get there. For an endowment information, our John can also tell you, and Brian, that our committee looks at this. We just like to know that organizations are healthy and sustainable and have a plan for the future. So now this is going to let us know whether you have an endowment or not. We don't continue to ask you over and over again if you have an endowment, if you actually don't. So you can just say no, and then we'll let you know to contact Brian and for you to read this article on how to establish an endowment for your organization. If you say yes, this is some of the tricks that we added to the application. Now you'll let us know what your endowment size is. All right, moving on to organization information. Remember, we clicked the first-time applicant option, so you're going to see the questions that we've added for the first-time applicants. We want to know your organization's mission. As a first-time applicant, we haven't seen you yet, so let us know what it is that your nonprofit's purpose is, what groups it serves, and how it plans to do so. For your evidence of organization's overall effectiveness, we want you to share, how do you know that your organization is good at what it does, right? So share any awards or accolades your organization has achieved or that the staff or program has received. And basically you have 1,000 characters here to tell us how good your organization is. Do not recommend using the full 1,000 characters. You can do it in one paragraph. All right, but it is there for first-time applicants because, again, we want to make sure that we're getting to know you. We want to make sure that our committee gets to know you, and we absolutely welcome you as a first-time applicant. For your organization information, this is for all applicants. And I think it was somebody that high-fived the importing from GuideStar. That is another thing that we will likely share more with you in terms of training. There's a lot to be gained from having a profile in GuideStar. And this is one of the things, you just copy and paste things from here. One of the things that we like to use here is just your NTE code. It allows us to learn what kind of nonprofit organization you are as you submit it to the IRS. Sometimes that changes, but you know, for purposes of just kind of reporting, this is helpful to us. And what you'll see here is you may import this information from your GuideStar profile by clicking this logo directly above. It's a little directly, you know, corner above. So it's right here. As soon as you click that, you'll get this window and you'll just say copy GuideStar profile. And then you click on this NTE code to copy that information, and then it'll populate in the field right here as we continue to scroll down. See? Now it shows that I'm a community foundation. It will load up all the codes for you. If you have done that at the beginning, you see that it booted us all the way up. Had you done that at the beginning, let me go up at this point right here, then it would have already populated that information, which is why I said just click it and then get going on your application. All right, moving along. For organization information, again, all applicants, we want to know when your fiscal year ends. It does just let us know in terms of when we're looking at the budget and when we're seeing your proposal, more or less how things are going to line up. So let us know the fiscal year end date. Brian, how about you start jumping in here in terms of what that fiscal budget looks like and what we look for in the budgets, please.
Sure. Hello, everybody. So obviously, we want to take a look at your numbers, at the fiscal pieces. So when we're going to ask for your major funding sources, as Cristina mentioned, we want to see your overall organizational budget. And this is your forecast for the next year ahead. This is a board approved budget. We understand that sometimes there are, based on the timing, you may not have a formally board approved budget by the time you are submitting your application, but we do want to see where your revenue streams are coming from, as well as your expenses. This is not something that you have to create especially for us. You should have this prepared and ready to go, that you can just import that file for us there. And then I think moving down, Cristina.
Thank you. Sorry, I was responding.
No worries.
And then okay, we'll return to this one. Go ahead, moving down.
We do ask for you to enter the amount specifically for your expenses for the proposal year on your organizational budget. So you will import the file itself, and then also import you'll type in the number for the expenses for the coming year. If you are submitting a program or project request, we also will need the budget for that specific program or project. So that will be a separate file other than your organizational budget. This will include expenses and revenue that only pertain, again, to that specific project and budget. We'll have you upload that file and then type in the total expenses.
All right, thank you. So yes, and then we'll have additional funding. So who else did you submit this proposal to, or who it will be submitted to? And up here, again, you've seen this one before, so that one's not new to you. You just let us know how your funding sources are distributed in terms of these categories. And these are just examples, right? So for additional funding, again, who you're submitting this proposal to in addition to us, and then how will you sustain the proposed activities beyond this program, this grant year, sorry. So share with us some of your thought process in terms of, again, sustainability. We want to know that, you know, this is not going to be a one and done, that you'll be able to sustain yourself, or if it is a one and done, then, you know, let us know that as well. And then lastly, we have your additional attachments, which you've seen before. This is key staff and board members. Just upload that document that lists all your key staff, your board members with their affiliations, and then your officers as well. Try to keep it to one page, please. Just makes it easier to look at. And then a financial audit or statement or financial position. So we're keeping this optional for right now, just to get you all acquainted with the fact that now, if you do not have a financial audit, we actually would like to see this statement of financial position. Brian, can you talk on this a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we recognize that not every organization conducts a formal audit, nor is it appropriate to have that expense for your organization. However, we do expect that most and all nonprofits should have a balance sheet. That would be a basic statement that says what your liabilities are, what your assets are, as far as whether it's cash, buildings, materials, those types of things. Each organization should have a balance sheet. If you have questions about conducting those, if you've not done that, please feel free to reach out. There's lots of great information on this, but it helps for your board as well as our organization to understand, you know, financially how healthy is the organization, and it is something that we look to be reviewing on an upcoming basis here. So feel free to reach out if you have questions about what a balance sheet is. Or if you think an audit is appropriate for your organization. Generally under $500,000, it's not worth the expense. However, there are times where it's very appropriate based on the revenue that you have coming in. So again, please feel free to reach out with questions.
Thanks, Brian. And as he said, we will be expecting this in the future. So in the future, look to see this to be a required item. And again, in terms of us being a little bit more equitable, we want to make sure that we didn't miss anything that you wanted to tell us through the application process. So now we've added an optional "what did we miss?" And this is an opportunity for you to write about a half a page of what it is that you would have liked to told us that we didn't address previously with the questions. And in addition to that, you may now also share with us a link to an elevator speech video. We do not want any like video productions here we're just talking about grab your phone and video chat with me as you would over the phone. Basically just add video to that, and that's kind of what you're looking at in terms of a potential elevator speech video, right? Why is it that we need to fund your proposal? This is an opportunity for you to tell us a story real quick, tell us some of the success stories that you've seen, but keeping it short and sweet is the best. We will allow the committee to see this as well. We've learned through the focus groups that the time that you spent with the committee in one-on-one meetings through our office interviews was very helpful to you. It is equally beneficial to our committee members. So now we're trying to figure out a way to get you some of that FaceTime while you're doing the application in case we do not have the opportunity to bring you in for an office interview. So this is your chance, right? We heard you. You want to be able to be a little bit more free in how you express yourself, how you tell us your story. Just act as if we're breaking bread, having a cup of coffee, and tell us why we need to fund you. And so that is it in terms of all of our questions that we have. I will rewind us up to the top to do the things a little bit differently.
Cristina, 2 questions.
Yes.
One is somebody asked, will not doing a video hurt the proposal?
No.
And no, it will not at all. We want to make sure the video is just something that is optional. It's not a requirement, but if you do want to share something, it's a great opportunity for you to do that. So please know that it is not a requirement. Second question is, would you consider key staff, their organization's executive staff, or staff that will be instrumental to the project? Do you want to answer that one?
Key staff for the most part, I believe it's your administrator staff. But also we would like to know in terms of, who is going to be in that project involved. And then that way we also can reference to them, right? When we're either doing a site visit or when we're looking to learn more about what the program or the organization does, that would be appropriate for you to list that stuff as well. That sound good, John?
Yep, perfect. Danielle asked about collaborative community partners when requesting general operating support. Would we like the list of all partners, and would we like that in a bullet format or a sentence format? I don't think it matters. I think if you want to give it to us in a bullet format, that's fine. A sentence format is fine as well. And I think the key partners that are involved with that program would be beneficial.
Yes. And so let me jump back up then to go through the other questions for the other type of applications, and you can keep those coming. Yeah, we'll get to you, Eva, on that one. So are you a first-time applicant? So we did all of this as if you were a first-time applicant. So now we're going to do the version for no, you're a returning applicant in this case. And perhaps, well, I'll just show you this real quick. If you're using a fiscal sponsor, then you're going to see that fiscal sponsor information that you'll need to be adding down here. So now you see that you clicked on fiscal sponsor. Now we need for you to provide that fiscal sponsor information. In this case, it's who is a fiscal sponsor, right? So who's a 501c3 organization that will be serving as your fiscal sponsor? What is their mission? And then their organizational budget. We'll also be asking for yours, but we need theirs also. And then the letter of support. And so for these fields, one thing that is helpful through Foundant is the collaborate function. Kim, I'll let you talk a little bit more about this real quick, please.
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to go over this new collaborate button that's at the top of the application process. I think you'll be excited about it because you can collaborate with not having to have me add a user, create a login and password for them so they can help out with your grant application, or you'll normally would email them and request maybe from your financial department, the budgets and things like that. Now, if you click on the collaborate button, you can email these people and also send them a message as to what you need and give them certain permissions to use this, to collaborate with you. Some ideas that I've seen used, that if multiple applicants need to work on a request together, if someone needs to upload documents such as their financial department, or fill out or enter any questions that might pertain to their department, somebody might work with a grant writer. You can invite them through here. And then also, if you have a new staff member that needs some guidance, they can go in, create their own account, and then they can invite you to collaborate with them on entering the grant.
All right, and then you just hit invite, correct? And
Right, but the permissions, there are different levels of the permissions. Somebody can view, if view is just view, you can't change anything. You can you can give them permission to edit, so they can actually go in and upload documents or type in the questions. And then you can also have them submitted if you'd like, once everything is finished. And then that'll send the email to the person that you invited, and they'll open that up and be able to log in and work on the application with you. Hopefully that helps you.
yes, thank you, Kim. All right, I'm being mindful of the time. I just want to get you through the new questions for, not the new questions, but how the application flows. So that was the part for using a fiscal sponsor. We'll go back to no. Now you have the type of request for operating, and this will work the same for either operating or other. Well, if you do select other, you need to tell us what that other type of request is that you're bringing to us. I think the only one that we can think about is capacity building, because capital, we have a whole capital cycle just dedicated to capital requests. So we wouldn't see a capital request in this cycle. So I think really the only other thing left, but again, you can tell us more if we're missing something, is what type of request would this be? Capacity, but for the most part, program, project, or operating. So let's go to operating. You see the proposal information here is the same. And then how this proposal information for operating other, what makes your organization unique in this case? The other question was for the program, what makes it unique? This is what makes your organization unique. You'll see the community need questions again. Defining success questions are still there. So is the endowment, your organization information. And now here, your budget financing. Again, we're streamlining things. We only need your previous year profit and loss statement. Brian?
So again, when it comes to
Turn
profit
your
and
camera
loss,
off, friend.
I guess you want to see me. All right.
Always.
So profit and loss statement, this is your basic income statement that shows your actuals. We want to see what happened last year. So in the past, we would often have you send in your proposed budget, but then we would never actually see the actuals. So in the proposal itself, we are asking now for your standard profit and loss statement that's going to show your actuals from the previous proposal year. And this again pertains to the organizations that are seeking general operating support. We want to make sure we will look back and compare those previous proposed budgets as well as the actuals. That way it gives us a chance to talk to you about what challenges maybe you've had in the past year, what successes you've had. But the committee is looking to try to see a little bit more of what has actually happened throughout the year, and understanding that funders come and go. Individual support comes and goes, additional expenses, so on and so forth. This gives us a true, real picture of what's happening with your organization, so that, again, we can look at it in partnership of funding it. If you have questions, feel free to reach out.
All right. Thank you so much, Brian. Additional funding is also still there, as are the additional attachments and additional information. And that basically concludes some of the changes. I know I went through them fast and it'll be new, but thank you for some of the feedback already that, this is in hopes of making things easier for you, right? To channel you through those, as we call it, formally branching questions, so that you don't have to see questions that are not pertaining to you, as well as information that we do need from you that was perhaps a little bit hidden, that, you know, Kim and I sometimes have to extract from you later through emails. So we appreciate your patience sitting through this tutorial, and feel free to reach out to either myself, Chris, Brian, or John, or Kim if you need any additional help with this.